1789. The day was like any other day, the man like any other man. Time alone was to prove the difference. The morning this man appeared at the top of the hill and rode into our valley marked the beginning. And in the end, I was to realize that nothing really important had ever happened to me before this day. I was to know this stranger as no one else was to know him. It's been said that every man has two sides, the side he shows to the world and the side he shows to the woman he loves. This was the side I was destined to see, and this was the day of the beginning. What do you want?
I beg your pardon, ma'am. I was looking for the widow Donaldson.
My mother isn't here.
My name's Andrew Jackson, and I'm a friend of John Overton's.
Oh, well, John's told us about you. You're his new law partner.
That's right, ma'am. John said there was an empty room in the cabin you rent him, so I rode out from Nashville to see if you'd consider taking me in, too. I didn't mean to peek, ma'am.
Well, that's all right. You just startled me. Well, my mother won't be back until late this afternoon. She's gone into Nashville. There is an empty room.
I've been staying at the Red Heifer Inn. If you knew how tired I was of the brawling and the greasy tables in that inn, I'd sure consider it an honor to join this family.
But I'm not mistress of this station, Mr. Jackson. That's a decision my mother would have to make.
I've had experience fighting Indians, and I'm a crack shot with a rifle.
Well, heaven knows we can use all the protection we can get out
And
here.
at the same time, I'm quiet and peace-loving.
Why don't you just take your saddlebags over to John's cabin and wait for my mother to get back? You can stay to supper if you'd like.
I was frankly hoping you'd invite me.
Well, there's bound to be plenty. My mother's gone to fetch my two sisters for a visit, so supper tonight's sort of a family reunion.
Are you superstitious?
No, why?
Today's Tuesday, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, everything that ever turned out right for me was something I started on a Tuesday.
There's Irish in your background somewhere.
Somewhere. If it doesn't show in my face, it does in my temper, I'm told.
This is the first place to be built here by my father.
It's about the prettiest cabin I was ever in.
Anything that looked like a palace to you after the Red Heifer Inn. This is Cousin John's room, and this is the one that's vacant.
Well, I'll just unpack a few possessions and put them away. Then if your mother says no, I'll come quietly back and slip them back into my saddlebags.
Oh, I should have warned you. This door frame was never built for a tall man.
No, the door's all right. My frame just wasn't built for a small door.
Are you sure you didn't hurt yourself?
No damage to either headway.
Well, you come over when you hear the bell.
Eat your supper nice. See that they eat slowly, Ma. I don't want any sick children here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you and Mary have any more children, I don't know where we'll put them.
Well, you just better build a bigger cabin, Mother, because I plan to have a few dozen myself.
The Donaldson women usually do. Where's this guest, Rachel?
He'll be coming over with Cousin John.
Who is he, Rachel?
His name's Jackson. He's John's new law partner. He rode out this afternoon to see if Mother had rent him the other room in John's cabin.
What's he like?
Oh, he's tall. He acts like a gentleman, and he's had experience fighting Indians.
Indian fighters, they're usually quarrelsome men.
Oh, no, he's peaceful and quiet.
How could you tell that?
He told me so.
Well, I might as well warn you right now, Andrew, when you're not on time at Mother Donaldson's, you don't get fed.
Too many mouths to feed tonight to wait, John.
Well, has everybody met my new law partner?
No. Mr. Jackson, this is my mother.
And the finest woman in the whole Cumberland.
How do you do, ma'am?
And my sister Jane.
The prettiest?
My sister Mary.
The sweetest?
My brother Samuel.
The fightingest?
And my brother William.
The stubbornest. And as for me, I am the hungriest.
Do sit down, Mr. Jackson, and help yourself.
And these belong to Jane and me.
Where are your husbands tonight?
Home. There's a band of marauding Indians out our way. So we packed the children over here for a day or two.
Now we can stay for Samuel's birthday party.
Well, I'm mighty glad to hear that. For a while, I was afraid I'd have to dance with Andrew.
Have you been long in Nashville, Mr. Jackson?
Not long, ma'am. Last month, when John offered to go partners with me, I just shifted my law books to Nashville.
What sort of law cases do you handle, Mr. Jackson?
Why, Andrew just settled one of the biggest suits for damages this territory ever had. Tell him, Andrew.
Oh, I don't think the ladies...
Yes, they would.
What was the case about, Mr. Jackson?
Well, a client of mine got into a fight and had his ear bitten off.
And Andrew got him $4 cash for his ear, of which he gets half.
Is it really possible to bite a man's ear off?
Rachel, I don't think it's a subject we should pursue at the table.
You're quite right, ma'am.
Are you attached to the court here officially, Mr. Jackson?
Andrew carries a highfalutin title of Attorney General.
Attorney General?
What does it mean?
Well, it means that he prosecutes criminals for the state, when he can find them.
Other times, I'm just like other lawyers, scratching mighty hard for cases.
And with $2 cash, he can pay a whole month's board in advance.
I don't think Mrs. Donaldson's quite decided yet, John.
Mother, Samuel said he saw some Indians lurking around in the hills yesterday. We ought to have more protection.
Well, Mr. Jackson, as you can see, we're long on women and children at this station, short on men. If you can endure us, we'd be glad to have you as part of the family.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'll go right over and unpack my saddlebags after supper.
Same. Head forward, cross over, and turn about. Sides the same. Head forward and back. Sides the same. Head forward, cross over. Sides the same. Head forward, out to the right and left through, around the center. Chain right back. Head ladies, chain your left hand lady. Chain right back. Balance all. Forward again with the right and left through. All fours, forward and back. Forward again with the right and left through. Two ladies chain. All fours, forward again with the right and left through.
Do you like Nashville?
I sure aim to.
I think you're going to be very successful here.
I will if folks keep on getting their ears bitten off.
Forward again with the right and left through. All fours, forward and back. Forward again with the right and left through.
Excuse me, sir. I should like to speak with my wife.
Mr. Jackson, this is my husband, Louis Robards.
How do you do, sir?
You'll excuse us.
Of course.
Forward again with the right and left through. Head forward the promenade outside the center.
I thought you were still in Harrodsburg.
I left yesterday to come after you.
Why?
Chain right back.
I'm sorry I sent you home, Rachel.
Head forward, right and square.
Why didn't you write?
Oh, I was angry and jealous. Had to get over it.
There was nothing to be jealous about.
Jason told me himself that you encouraged him.
Then he lied. If he weren't your cousin, I'd have ordered him right out of the house.
Rachel, I didn't come all this way just to argue with you. I came to say that I'm sorry. I just want you back again.
Promenade off the floor.
Morning, folks. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
That was a mighty fine party you gave last night, Mrs. Donaldson.
Glad you enjoyed it, Mr. Jackson.
What's the matter with Rachel? Too much apple cider and dancing?
Rachel's gone.
Oh? Where?
Harrodsburg. She left at dawn.
A little trip?
She's gone back to live at the Robards. A wife's place is with her husband.
Mighty glad you come home, Mr. Lewis. We're just about going to send for you, sir.
Send for me? Why?
Your mother's ailing. We don't know what's wrong, sir.
I'll go up and see her.
I'll change into a dry coat and be right up here.
Come in.
Mother Robot.
Rachel. Rachel,
Oh,
my
I'm
dear.
so glad to see you.
I knew Louis would bring you back. Whatever my son may be, he's no fool. Where is he?
He's changing. He'll be right up.
You shouldn't have gone away in the first place.
I didn't go away. I was sent away.
Now, don't be resentful to an old woman.
I don't blame anyone.
You're wrong to expect too much of Louis. But he needs you, Rachel. He needs someone strong.
I'm going to try, Mother Robots. I hope I can be strong.
And have a child, Rachel, as quickly as you can. Have a son to give your love to. It was my salvation.
Don't you worry, Mother Robots, please. Everything's going to be all right, you'll see.
Where's my boy? Why doesn't he come up to me?
Now, he'll be here in a minute. Oh, I'd better get into some dry clothes, too. I'm drenched.
Come back later and sit with me. I've been lonely.
Go to your cabin and wait.
If she find out, she'll make you sell me.
She won't find out. Send you over to my cousin Jason's for a while.
Where did that girl come from?
I bought some new slaves while you were away. You don't think
I think I know now why you sent me home.
You're in no position to make accusations. I could ask a few questions about you and Jackson. Something went on between you two before I got there. I could see it. You think I'm a fool? Anyone would be blind if he didn't see it. So don't... I thought if you didn't mind, Jason, I'd send that new girl over to your place for a while.
What's made you change your mind?
I've been locked out of my own room every night for 2 weeks now. I don't like it. Maybe if I get the girl out of sight, Rachel will forget about her.
Why don't you sell her to me?
She's not for sale.
Morning, Rachel.
Mr. Lewis,
What is it?
there's a Mr. Jackson outside to see Miss Rachel, sir.
Show him in, please.
Who's Jackson?
One of my wife's admirers from Nashville. I would say this rather vindicates me.
Good morning, Miss Rachel. Mighty good to see you again.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
How do you do, Mr. Robards?
Well, Mr. Jackson. This is my cousin Jason.
How do you do, sir?
And what brings you to Harrodsburg, Mr. Jackson?
Well, I thought you knew.
My wife?
Your mother sent a letter to Mrs. Donaldson asking someone to come for Miss Rachel.
My mother sent a letter.
She said Miss Rachel wanted to come home. Mrs. Donaldson was going to send Samuel, but he took sick, so I came to fetch her instead. Did she misunderstand?
No, she didn't misunderstand.
Well, that's good.
But it seems you've made a long trip for nothing, Mr. Jackson. My wife has decided to stay here.
Did you change your mind, Miss Rachel?
No, I haven't changed my mind. I want to go back to Nashville.
In that case, I'll be happy to see you get safe home.
I'll say goodbye to Mrs. Rubel.
Just a minute, Rachel. The only one who is leaving is Mr. Jackson.
You better go get your things, Miss Rachel.
I think you better go, Mr. Jackson. I intend to shoot. Start heading back, Mr. Jackson.
Louis, please.
Get out.
You want to go, don't you, Miss Rachel?
Not if it means bloodshed.
Are you in this, too?
She's not my wife.
Then we'll be leaving. Get your things, Miss Rachel.
Lewis won't follow us. He was in no condition to give chase.
Not Lewis I'm worried about. You rest here. I want to take a look at the other side of that ridge. Band of Indians paralleling our trail, the other side of that ridge. I don't know how many.
Do you think they've seen us?
I don't know. We'll head for those rocky flats along the stream. If we make enough racket, we'll sound like several horsemen. Then we'll fire into the woods and make some more noise, and you stay right behind me. You ready?
Ready?
Three you men, head up the stream. We'll take the hill. Split up, men! Come behind! I don't know how much good that did, but I think they'll leave us alone now.
You were having a good time, weren't you?
I like to graze danger. Were you afraid?
Oh, no, I was too interested watching you. If I'd been an Indian, I thought you were a whole band of militia.
Well, it's a good tactic, and it works. Sometimes. Mighty good to see you smiling again, Miss Rachel.
Mr. Jackson, were there really Indians back there? Or were you just trying to take my mind off my troubles?
Both. Tired?
Some.
There's an inn a little ways up this trail. I think we should put up for the night.
If you think it best.
In this moonlight, we'd be a pretty easy target. We better stop.
You a lot of trouble.
Been no trouble for me, Miss Rachel.
I just want you to know I'm grateful, Mr. Jackson.
You know, Mr. Jackson sounds mighty formal for two people that have just fought off a band of marauding Indians.
Well, then, thank you, Andrew.
Yes? We've just come down the trail from Harrodsburg. Night overtook us. We'd like to stop here till morning.
Well, we're pretty full up, but I'll make room for you somehow. I'll take care of your horses a little later on. Man and wife?
No.
Drat. I was hoping you was. You'll have to sleep in the parlor then, miss. And as for you, sir, I'll have to put you in a bed with two other men at the top of the stairs. It's the best I can do for you.
That's good enough.
You'll find the sofa right comfortable, though. I'll get you a blanket.
What time should we leave in the morning?
We should get away around sunup. I'll come down and wake you.
Yeah, this'll keep you warm. Your pillow's on the sofa.
Thank you. Good night, Andrew.
Good night, Rachel.
Straight up the top of the stairs.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Home again with our scalps intact.
I was worried. I expected you back last night.
Well, I thought it safer not to travel with a full moon.
Of course. I hadn't thought of that.
Well, I'd best get on into Nashville. I'm due in court this morning.
Thank you, Andrew.
I'll see you tonight.
Oh, Mother, I do dislike coming back and being a burden on you again, but it was just...
Never mind explaining, dear. Lewis is here. Here? He rode all night from Harrodsburg.
I can't explain, Rachel. I can only say I'm sorry. I know I behaved badly and stupidly, but I love you. I want you to come back with me.
I can't. I've lost all respect for you.
I know I deserve that, but this won't ever happen again, Rachel. Believe me.
I no longer love you, Louis.
I don't believe that.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
And it is Jackson.
No, it isn't, Mr. Jackson. It's just that I feel I could never trust you again.
It isn't important what you feel. You're my wife. You've deserted me, and I've come to get you.
Louis, I never intend to see you again.
In this territory, a wife does what her husband tells her to do. I've got plenty of relations in Nashville, and I'll be back with them in the morning. If there's any shooting done between your relations and mine, you'll have only yourself to blame.
Whoa.
Colonel Stark!
Well, if it isn't Miss Rachel and the widow Donaldson. Oh, Peach Blossom.
Bless my soul, we got visitors.
Careful of that gangplank, Peach Blossom.
Don't you worry, Cherry Pie. If I fall in, I'll float.
I'm certainly glad to see you, ladies.
Thank you.
Well, I declare, Rachel, there's something wrong with nature. You get prettier every day, and I just get fatter.
Well, let's sit and visit a while. We'll be out of the way of the loading over there.
Oh.
Keep that cargo moving. We ain't half loaded yet.
You're a busy man, Colonel Stark, so I'll get right to the point. Can you take Rachel with you to Natchez? I want to send her for a visit to my sister.
Miss Rachel, I'd do anything for you, but I simply couldn't take that responsibility.
Then you've heard about Louis's threats.
Drat Lewis, it ain't him I'm thinking about. It's the dangerous journey and them drat Indians.
Well, you're taking your wife.
We've risked our lives together before.
Arrows bounce right off me. I wear a 3-inch coat of armor.
But if anything happened to you, well, I just couldn't take that responsibility.
Cherry Pie, she won't take up much room. She don't weigh nothing. That's important on a flatboat. We figure I take up the weight and space of a bale of cotton. But you, we could make room.
Could you get one of your brothers to come along for protection?
No, Samuel isn't well. And William doesn't think I should go, but I...
Well, I'd really like to help you, but you understand my position, Mrs. Donaldson.
Yes, Colonel Stark.
I shouldn't have troubled you. Thanks anyway. Goodbye, Mrs. Stark.
Goodbye, child.
Goodbye. Well, when Louis shows up armed and backed by his relations, we'll just have to fight for him.
There'll be no bloodshed on my account. I'll go back to Harrodsburg with him.
Rachel. Get dressed quickly.
What is it, Mother?
It's almost dawn. Colonel Stark has sent word he'll take you with him. There's not time to pack much.
I about given you up.
We got here just about as soon as we could.
Better get aboard in a hurry. We've been waiting to cast off as soon as you arrive.
Bye, Mother.
Get aboard, child, get aboard.
Thank you, William.
Remember, who runneth away and rideth trouble to pursue.
Yes, William, the cautious. I'll remember.
All right, cast off that rope. Hold in the gang, Frank. Morning, Miss Rachel.
Did my mother ask you to make this trip?
I like to travel.
I asked you a simple question.
You'll have to excuse me for the moment, Miss Rachel. I'm busy as a cat in a hot griddle.
Welcome aboard, Rachel.
Thank you, Mrs. Stark.
Come along with me. I'll show you where we'll bunk. Aren't you lucky that nice Mr. Jackson happened to be going to Natchez, too?
An amazing coincidence.
I said the very same thing. We'll live in here, child. It's cramped, but it'll give us good privacy. I said the cherry pie when they built it, tain't big enough. You can't cuss a cat in it without getting fur in your mouth. Now, you rest up a bit.
Andrew, do you have a free hand for a cup of coffee?
I'll sure find one. Thank you, Rachel. You better get back under cover before you catch your death.
I want to apologize. I was rude and ungrateful about your being along.
Don't ever apologize for anything, Rachel. Not you, and never to me. Now go on. Get back in there before you get soaked. I'm supposed to be looking after you.
Seems kind of indecent hanging out such private garments before a bachelor. But we've got no choice.
Oh, I think they know more about us than we give them credit for knowing.
Colonel Stark bought me these in New Orleans. I just love them. So does he.
Well, neither one of us has any secrets from the men folks now.
Andy looks kind of moony over there by himself. Go talk to him for a spell, Rachel.
Colonel Stark says we'll be passing into Spanish territory pretty soon.
Oh, I figure a couple more days.
Will you be staying in Natchez a while?
Just long enough to find a party going back up the trace to Nashville. I'm still Attorney General back home. Indian! Get down behind the cargo! Colonel Stark! Stay under cover till the current carries us out of danger. The only thing we can do.
Shouldn't we fire back?
Just a waste of ammunition.
Get rid of that top bale. Throw it overboard.
out of range in a minute. Well, it's your boat, Colonel, but I still think we're making a mistake tying into shore for the night.
Andrew, I've got no choice. I know this river. There are rapids just ahead, and I can't risk running them in the dark.
You know the river, but I know Indians. They'll smell us out before morning.
I'll throw you a stern line.
I don't like the look of a cherry pie.
I don't either, but it can't be helped. Andrew and I'll stand guard.
I'll spend the night on shore, Colonel.
Better stay aboard, Andrew. We'll need you in case we're attacked in the darkness.
Well, we've got to have some advance warning. Only way to get it is if one of us spends the night ashore.
I guess you're right.
Zeb, you hear this now. At the first sound of a shot, you take this axe and cut that stern rope. Let the current carry into midstream.
Yes, sir.
But how will you get back if he cuts the rope?
You just stay under cover.
Come along, child. We might as well try to sleep. There's nothing we can do.
I think I'll watch for a spell.
Well, if I'm going to get scalped, I'd just as soon be asleep.
I'll look out from the top of the cabin. You get to the stern.
Yes, sir.
I don't care what anybody said. I'll cut it myself as soon as he's safe aboard. Now, you go watch from that end. Colonel, you shout as soon as you see Andrew.
Don't yell at him, son. Rachel wouldn't let us.
Are you all right?
Of course I'm all right. Why didn't you cut the rope like I told you to?
You didn't tell me, and I never agreed anyway.
Don't you know you could all have been massacred?
Don't you shout at me. I've still got my scalp. Have you got yours? And besides, what kind of a protector goes gallivanting over to the woods chasing Indians? What were you trying to do, make a dead hero out of yourself?
Why did you do it?
I was showing off. I like to graze danger. Let go of my hands.
Well, we're almost there.
We're planning a party for you next Tuesday, my dear. We've invited practically everybody in this territory. But Aunt Sarah, I can't possibly make myself a dress by then. I'm sure that one of your cousin's dresses will fit you perfectly, Rachel.
And we look about the same size, Mr. Jackson. Would you mind?
I sure wouldn't.
I can't think of anything I'd rather do than stand at the head of a beautiful staircase in a lovely gown and just float down.
That just shows you what a fool I can be. I didn't think it possible that you could be more beautiful.
I'm so laced up I can hardly breathe. My heart is pounding in my ears.
Well, by a strange coincidence, my heart's pounding in my ears, too, and I'm not laced up.
Staggered through that a sight better than I thought I could.
Darling, I've been asking in Natchez. You can get an annulment here in Spanish territory. We can be married right away.
Then we could go home together.
No, we couldn't go home.
Why not?
Well, we wouldn't be legally married any place but here.
We could never go back?
This is a beautiful territory. What would be the matter with spending the rest of our lives here?
Andrew, I don't want you to have to give up anything for me.
What would I be giving up that means anything to me? I couldn't be happy any place in the world without you. We could build a good life for ourselves here.
Marrying here would only be a way of getting around the law. Our love is right and good. Our marriage must be right and good, too, from the first instant. I don't want it to imprison you or cost you anything.
Rachel, it has to be here and not at all.
Maybe if you went back and talked to Mother Robard, she'd get Louis to petition for divorce.
It never set you free.
But we must try. Go back and talk to Mother Robards, Andrew. I know she'll do anything she can to help me. And then if there's no other way, I'll marry you here.
I'll do anything you ask me to. Oh, darling, why do we waste months, maybe years that we could have together now?
We just decided to wait.
You decided.
And you agreed.
I said I'd go back. I didn't say I wanted to, or even that I thought it was best. Rachel, I'm not a fickle man. I've never loved before, and I'll never love again. But things can happen. Let's be together now while we can.
Andrew, I still have a husband. I can't...
All right. Maybe I'll be back in 2 months, or maybe 2 years, or maybe not at all. But if that risk will make you happy, I'll try and make you happy.
Maybe you prefer not to come back at all.
Andrew, a mail rider just arrived from Nashville. There's a letter for you.
Thank you, Colonel.
Rachel!
We can be married. We can be married here right away. Louis got a divorce.
Who sent the letter?
Johnny wrote the minute he heard. Louis went to the legislature himself, and they granted his petition.
Oh, I knew it was going to turn our way. Let me read the letter.
I'll tell you about it.
Andrew, there's something wrong about the divorce.
It's not the way we wanted it, darling. But the fact is, you're free.
Well, how did he get the divorce?
Rachel.
What were the grounds?
The thing that's important here is that we can be married.
Andrew, what were the grounds?
He accuses you of adultery.
With whom?
He names me. Darling, try to think only of what this means to us.
You're a man. I don't think you can understand what this means to me.
I think I can.
It means that I'm marked for life.
Rachel, listen to me. The divorce is already granted, so let's make the best of it. Let's not let anything mar our future now, especially the past.
How could he have been so spiteful?
Darling, don't be unhappy now, please.
We were married, and for a while, time had no meaning. We stayed on in Natchez, and the days spread into weeks, and the weeks drifted into months.
Oh, Andrew, look.
Someday I'm going to have a track of my own, race my own horses. Do you like to gamble?
I married you.
Someday I'm going to build you a home just like that.
With 6 columns?
With 6 columns.
Andrew, let's go back to Nashville to build that home.
Right now?
Right now. So we came home to Tennessee. Andrew bought a place for me. Not a big place at first. Land was getting high, almost 10 cents an acre, which was about all he had to his name. But Andrew kept his word. He'd promised me a house with 6 columns. Well, it had 6 columns, sort of.
Anything else you want, Miss Rachel?
No, thank you, Ma.
Good night, Mom.
Good night.
What are you fretting about?
I'm beginning to worry, Andrew.
What?
When Jane was married as long as we've been, she'd already had 1 child. Second one on the way.
We'll have children, don't you worry. There's plenty of time.
I'll go see who it is. Sorry to trouble you this time of night, Andrew.
Come in, John.
Evening, John.
Evening, Rachel.
If it's trouble that's on your trail, you've come to the right place for support.
I'm afraid it's not me, but you the trouble's headed for. I came to warn you before you heard about it from someone else.
What's this all about, John?
Could I speak to you alone, Andrew?
If you think you're going to break bad news to Andrew alone, John Overton, you'd better change your mind in a hurry.
All right, then. Lewis never got any divorce from Rachel.
I don't understand. Well, Lewis got his divorce over 2 years ago. We all know that.
He petitioned the legislature. All they granted him was the right to sue.
Then Andrew and I aren't married.
John, everybody
was wrong.
Papers.
The papers were wrong. And if Lewis knew about our mistake, he took his sweet time before he did anything.
Did anything? What has he done now?
He sued last week for divorce. It was granted. There was no question of grounds this time.
But, John, how could this have happened? How?
I don't know, but it did. The way things get twisted, the way news travels in this part of the country.
I'm a lawyer. I should have known better. I should have gone to the legislature myself and looked into the records.
And I'm to blame for passing the rumor on to you.
I'll kill him. I'll hunt him down and kill him.
I know what a blow this is to both of you, Andrew, but killing Lewis isn't going to solve anything.
We'll have to be married again, Andrew.
And admit publicly that Lewis was right? No.
Well, I'll go on back to Nashville. You two talk it over tonight. I'll be in our office when you want me. Good night, Rachel. what you decide. Only don't decide on anything foolish.
We'll have to be married again.
And admit that we don't recognize our own marriage ourselves? I told you no.
Oh, Andrew. Darling, even if it galls you, do it for my sake. Do it because it'll help me, so that when our children do come, no one will ever be able to hurt them. Do it because you love me.
All right, Rich. I'll do it because you asked me, not because I think it's right. But because I can't deny you anything that's in my power to give you.
I pronounce you man and wife.
Now, Jane and I have fixed a cake. Come along, Rachel. You're going to have to cut it.
Andrew thinks we ought to go home right away, Mother.
You simply can't. Andrew, is that any expression for a bridegroom to wear?
I'm sorry, Mother Donaldson.
Come along.
Well, it isn't everyone that can have two weddings. I mean, let me help you, Mother.
It seems to me William could have got here whether he approved or not.
Oh, I didn't really expect he'd be here. He never thought I should have married Andrew in the first place.
Well, he can go hang as far as I'm concerned.
Here's my list. I'll wait. Good afternoon, Mrs. Ferris.
Afternoon, Mr. Clark. You fill out that order for me, please?
Certainly, Andrew. I hear today's your wedding day.
You heard right.
Well, these aren't very fancy for a wedding present, but I wish you'd give them to Mrs. Jackson with my compliments.
Well, thank you. She'll appreciate them.
I'd like to ask Rachel.
Look out, Jason.
Which one of you mentioned my wife's name?
I did.
What did you say?
Sure you'd like to hear.
What did you say?
I said I wonder whose bed Rachel'll be putting her moccasins under next.
He's not worth killing.
I've got no right to sulk and be mean.
I just don't want you to be unhappy.
I warned you once I was bad-tempered.
They gave you good cause. Here, let me clean you up a little bit.
What's happened, Mr. Crothers?
We found him here a few minutes ago. The Creeks must have ambushed him and taken his horse. They burned the Henderson place, too.
Looks like he's been dead since morning.
Who is he?
William. William.
He stopped at my place this morning. Said he was going to his sister's wedding.
Andrew. He was on his way to be with us.
We'd best all meet in Nashville tonight. Tell everybody it looks like the Creeks are aiming to wipe us out for good this time.
When the Indians continued to raid and burn our homes, Andrew organized the militia to fight them. He recruited his men and he trained them himself. And when they were ready, he led them. This was our first militia, and it was the first of many separations to come. The first one, I think, was the most difficult.
He'll be back in no time, Miss Rachel. He'll be back before planting time comes around. If I was young, which I ain't, and if I had any brains, which I ain't, I sure wouldn't marry no soldier.
Andrew wasn't a soldier when I married him.
And when he married you, you sure wasn't no workhorse neither.
Howdy, Mr. Jackson.
Jacob, what are you doing back?
Heading home. The Indian War's over. Looks like you made yourself a hero, Miss Jackson.
Where's Andrew?
He's coming up the road.
Oh!
We licked them good and proper, and Andy signed a treaty with the Creeks, and from now on, Don't you want to hear about the war?
Rachel.
Oh, Andrew, I wanted to... I was trying to... Darling. You're so thin.
I lost a few pounds.
Are you all right?
Hard as nails.
Oh, Andrew.
I almost forgot. Come on.
wait here.
It's a baby.
Well, you said you wanted one, and since I've been away over a year, this is the best I could do for you.
Andrew, what is this all about?
It's an Indian baby I found in the battlefield with its dead mother. We killed so many of his people, I figured we owed him a life.
The poor little mite. Can we keep him?
I don't see why not. When I asked the Indians to take it, they were going to kill him.
No. How helpless and dear. This is the last spoonful.
I believe that's all he wants to.
Well, Andrew, what shall we name our son?
Yeah, the Indians called him Linkoya,
Linkoya? Well, what does it mean?
the abandoned one.
Well, Linkoya, we won't abandon you. Oh, Andrew, you'll choke the boy. Oh, he was starved. How long have you had him?
6 weeks.
Oh, what have you been feeding him?
Brown sugar and water.
Hasn't he had any milk?
Now, where would I get milk?
From a cow.
Well, my men did find one cow. They had it killed and eaten before I could find a pail to get under it.
It's a wonder this child's alive.
It's a wonder any of us are alive.
Well, come on, young fella. It's time your mother puts you to bed. Down we go. Moll and I have almost finished planting the spring crops. You'll find the place has shown a good profit while you were away.
Too bad you got the crops in.
Too bad. Well, why?
Well, somebody else will reap the harvest. It won't belong to us.
Now, who will it belong to if not to us?
Yeah, the crops, the land, the house don't belong to us right now. Rachel. I had to sell everything we own.
Sold our home?
Right over our heads.
Oh, Andrew.
Well, darling, our troops needed food and ammunition. I had to buy it for them. And the contractors wanted cash. The only way I could get supplies was to sell everything I could.
Well, you'll get it all back. Surely the government will make it up to you.
That don't seem likely, honey. They're 5 years behind paying me as Attorney General.
Well, at least we don't owe anyone anything.
I wish that was true. The fact is, I've had to sign notes putting myself in debt for the next 15 years.
Andrew, if we've no home, where are we going to live?
Oh, I stopped in Nashville just long enough to buy us a new place. I'm going to make it the showplace of this country.
Now, how can we buy a new place if we haven't any money?
Well, that's why we're in debt. I figure the time to dare to pull yourself up to the heights is when everyone thinks you've failed.
I do you a great injustice, Andrew. Once in a while, I worry about the future. I was foolish to have worried. Andrew built the house he promised me, and we named it the Hermitage. Oh, it was mighty fine. There was only one thing wrong. Andrew never spent much time in it. When he wasn't off fighting Indians, he was in Washington City fighting Congress. He went away so often, I made him promise that if I died first, he'd make my tombstone an angel waving goodbye. While Andrew was away, the ladies of Nashville invited me to join their culture club. I accepted because it seemed an honor to my husband. Thank you, Henry. Mrs. Ferris.
I've been watching for you, Mrs. Jackson. I've done a dreadful thing, and I had to see you to explain it.
What if I can be of any help?
Well, when I first invited you to join our club, Mrs. Jackson, I didn't consult our other members. I thought, now that your husband's a senator, it would be quite all right. But it seems that it isn't. The majority of the ladies here today threaten to walk out the moment that you come in.
I won't come in, Mrs. Ferris. It seemed that people just wouldn't forget. I made up my mind then never to risk humiliation again. I'd stay at the Hermitage and make our home what we'd always wanted it to be, a safe retreat from the world.
Oh, Miss Rachel.
Ma, what is it?
You was away. We sent for the doctor as soon as we could. What happened? Lincoya.
Oh, Ma. What wrong have I done that I should be punished? Am I really an evil woman?
Why you ask that, Miss Rachel?
My husband is persecuted because of me. God denies me children of my own. And he takes away the child that I was given.
Miss Rachel, do you think them Christian martyrs standing before the lions and tigers, do you think they asked the good Lord if they was being punished? Of course they never. And that's why they're saints.
Andrew finally came home, and I invited some of his friends to the Hermitage to celebrate the occasion. The men accepted. The wives still refused our hospitality.
Well, I may be too old to be one, Lieutenant, but I'll contrive to do so on horseback.
Are you gentlemen going to desert me all evening?
Do forgive us, Mrs. Jackson.
You're either talking politics or racing. Which is it?
Now, you don't talk politics. You argue them.
It's racing. Andrew just agreed to run his horse against Greyhound next Tuesday.
Well, I think it's only fair to warn you, Captain Irwin, that Tuesday's my husband's lucky day.
It is only fair to warn you, Mr. Jackson. My son-in-law is a fine horseman.
All the better.
We have a wager and a race, Mr. Jackson.
We have, sir.
May I claim my husband, gentlemen? I haven't had him back long.
Why, of course.
And how much have you bet this time?
5,000.
5,000?
Should I have bet more?
We haven't got $5,000. You know that.
No one else knows it.
And what if we lose?
My note is good. No one would refuse it.
Andrew, sometimes I think politics have taught you to be devious.
I didn't have to be taught. I come from a long line of horse traders.
Good night, Andrew. It's good to have you home again.
Well, thank you, Ted. Good night, Rachel.
Good night,
John.
Good night, Andrew. Good night, John. You tired?
Some.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to have another pipe before going out.
Well, I'll sit with you.
There's nothing I'd like better. Well, I think our little party was a complete success. I haven't been so contented in over a year. You know, I'm getting mighty tired of life in Washington City. I'm happiest here at the Hermitage with you and my old friends. Well, did I say something funny?
No, my love. It's just that I forgot to tell you. One night while you were gone and I was very lonely, I tried to smoke your pipe.
Did you like it?
It nearly strangled me.
Well, you didn't go about it right. Here, I'll teach you.
Oh, no, well, Molla'd be scandalized.
She won't see you, now try it.
Well?
Now, don't swallow smoke at first. Take short puffs till you get used to it.
I've mastered it.
Well, not quite. Now you're used to the smoke. I'll show you how to exhale it properly. Now, first, hold some of the smoke in your mouth for a moment.
Is there anything else I can do for you, Miss Rachel? Shall I get Alfred to get some ham from the smokehouse for breakfast? Miss Rachel, do you think Mr. Jackson would like some of them fancy pancakes we cooked while he was away? Oh, they sure something fancy. Is we used 1 cup or 2 cups of cream? Seems like 1 cup's a plenty. You mighty red in the face, Miss Rachel. Is you all right?
Yes, Ma.
Oh, Andrew.
I'll join you right after the race.
My heart is fluttering like a bird.
You're not fretting about the outcome, are you?
Well, some, but then I come from a long line of fretters.
Mrs. Jackson.
Good afternoon, Captain.
Quite a few people have shown up. There seems to be unusual interest in this race.
So it seems.
I hear most of the betting is on greyhound.
Oh? I hadn't heard.
I do hope you're a good loser, Mrs. Jackson.
Our horse isn't going to lose, Mrs. Ferris. I'll bet you my carriage and horses against yours.
If you wish, Mrs. Jackson.
I do. Shall we consider this our bet?
Very well.
Thank you.
You sure ran to go, Mr. Jackson.
We'll take the lead and hold it all the way.
And that's a fact. That horse sure don't like no other horse's tail in his face.
Gentlemen,
They're about to begin to commence, Miss Rachel.
Greyhound. Mr. Jackson on Truxton. 1 turn around the course.
I'll have the carriage delivered to you in the morning, Mrs. Jackson.
Oh, no, I made this bet in anger. I ask you not to hold me to it, Mrs. Ferris. Please.
Thank you.
I must go congratulate Andrew.
Jackson, we won, Mr. Jackson. We did it. We won.
You bet we did, Ajax. We won.
I was never so excited in my life.
Didn't I tell you I had the fastest horse in this territory?
Mr. Jackson, I shall have to give you my note. Is that acceptable to you?
I should have expected you to accept mine.
Thank you, sir.
Devious man,
Pardon
my
me, boy.
husband.
Andy!
Excuse me.
Andy, congratulations. Was a good race.
Race? I didn't see it.
What in thunderation are you congratulating me for?
Why, hasn't anyone told you?
That I won? I was on the horse.
Oh, I mean the appointment. Haven't you heard?
The militia.
You're married to a general, Rachel. Governor Blunt signed the appointment this morning at the State House.
This is just about the best Tuesday we've ever had.
Did you hear? Andy's been appointed to head the state militia.
Excellent choice, in my opinion. Andrew's been a fine attorney general, a good congressman, and as a soldier. No one can question his daring.
No one. He's famous for a daring exploit. He captured another man's wife.
Andrew, would you take me to the carriage, please? Excuse us, gentlemen.
I'll have Samuel take you home.
I want to go home with you.
I can't leave right now.
Andrew, fate's been very kind to us today. We can afford to be generous.
I'll have Samuel take you home. I had to challenge him, Rachel.
Why?
He gave me no choice.
Your courage and your reputation don't require you to do it.
If I ignore him now, it will only goad him to greater insults the next time.
Let him make his foolish charges. I can bear his insults.
The men under my command in the militia expect courage from their leader. If I don't have their respect, I might as well resign.
Andrew, is it your honor or mine that you're fighting for? If it's mine, then the decision should be mine.
There is no difference.
It's an excuse to murder.
That may well be. He's a far better shot than I am.
And if he kills you, am I better off a widow whose name has been defended?
Rachel, I've already challenged him. I can't withdraw.
You're a lawyer. You're breaking the law. You know it's illegal to duel here.
We're going over the line into Kentucky.
When?
Tomorrow morning.
Andrew, if I'm to be the cause of all your quarrels for the rest of your life, then you give me no choice. I must leave you. I will not let you be killed because of me, nor will I let you take another man's life. I must leave you.
You'd leave me now.
No. Oh, Andrew, please, please don't do this. If Mr. Dickinson's bullet kills you, it kills me too. Let him say what he will about me.
No man can say what he will about my wife. Rachel, I've failed you a great many times at a great many things, and I hope you'll forgive me. But I couldn't expect you to forgive me if I lived without honor. Now let's go to bed.
Andrew. Darling, you wanted to be wakened by 4. It's almost 4.
That'll be John and Dr. May.
Ready, Andrew?
Right away.
Be careful.
I'll be careful.
Come home to me as quickly as you can.
What you got them old clothes on for, Miss Rachel?
I'm going to work in the fields, Mom.
Now, what do you want to do that for? If there's work to do, there's men to do it.
The men can't help me today.
Well, I'm going along with you then. Go to bed, Miss Rachel. Please go to bed.
No. When we finish this, we'll find something else to do.
He ain't hurt. I just know he ain't.
If he were all right, he'd have been home by sundown.
Don't cry, honey.
He's been hurt.
Oh, Andrew.
Rachel.
How bad is it?
The ball racked his breastbone, broke his ribs. I tried to get him to stay at the tavern, but he insisted it was more important to get back to you. This should have been attended to at once.
Dickinson wasn't bragging. His aim was perfect. He shot me exactly where he supposed my heart was beating.
Keep talking, Andrew.
But you know how loosely that frock coat fits me? Well, standing sidewise as we did it, billowed out in front of me. I never thought it'd do any good in this world to wear fancy clothes. But it saved my life by half an inch.
You'll be all right. But I still can't understand how Andrew could have stood up and fired with a bullet so near his heart.
How is Mr. Dickinson?
He's dead.
Oh, Andrew, what can we do? Why won't people leave us alone?
Rachel, I promise you, I'll lift you so high no one will dare whisper a word against you for the rest of our lives. Trust me, please. Each phase of this war seems to take me further away. My one consolation in the midst of hardship and death is recalling the peace of the hermitage. I like to think of you sitting at the hearth, your mending in your lap, the clock ticking the hours away. It is a picture from which I derive great comfort. I'm glad you're not harvesting a crop this year. With the men all away, the work is too hard for a woman. We've had a little rain recently. It set the men to grumbling as the roads become impassable and we have to sit around and wait. And tents don't afford much shelter. Cannon are difficult to move in this mud. You've no idea how exasperating such things can be. I haven't forgotten I promised to raise you to the heights. Grant me a few years' grace. We shall see what the future holds. Your devoted husband, Andrew. December 10th, 1814.
Andrew's letters never failed me, even when they were written in despair and defeat. Then, at New Orleans, he gave his country one of the greatest victories in our history. When the early morning fog lifted, 3,000 of the enemy lay dead and wounded. Andrew lost only 8 of his own men. No one could have been prouder of him than I was. He came home again, and we had a year or so together. But I knew that Andrew was never destined to be peaceful for long. What's the matter with you?
I won't do it. He has no right to ask me. I've served my country enough for one man.
Who has no right to ask you what, Andrew?
I'm a soldier, not a politician, and I've had enough soldiering.
Will you stand still long enough to tell me what you're talking about?
The governor wants me to return to the Senate. Well, I'm not going to do it. If he wants a man in Washington City, let him go himself. I have no intention of ever leaving the Hermitage again. Now, there's no use arguing with me. My mind is made up.
So Andrew was off to Washington again. And what had promised to be only a year or so stretched into 4 and 5 and more. I can't remember now. October 6th, 1825. My dear husband, your last letter was most reassuring. I'm delighted to know that things are going so well for you in Washington. But I'm especially delighted to hear that you're learning to control your temper. It's good to know that my husband is a man of peace at last. I do hope when you return after this session, it'll be to stay. Since you've never really cared for politics, it's foolish to continue in a profession that keeps us apart. I know this summer, together with no thought of public office, will be the happiest of our lives.
Since you've asked for my opinion, you're going to get it. There's only one thing that can keep you from being president, and that's you yourself, you and your dang temper.
Now, look here.
If you accept this honor, Andy, you've got to accept the responsibility that goes with it. You can't fight back the way you fought all your life.
You tell this man how even-tempered I've become, Rachel.
Go ahead, John.
I don't think you've got a gnat's notion of the kind of dirty campaign you'd let yourself in for. They're determined back east not to have a Western president. And there's no weapon your enemies won't use against you, no matter how rotten or dishonest.
Well, a little name-calling won't rile me, John.
Even if it involves Rachel.
This is my fight, not Rachel's.
We're no strangers to abuse, John.
They'll dip their arrows in venom, Rachel. They'll wound you if they can to goad Andrew into fighting. They know if Andrew's temper makes him kill somebody, it'll re-elect Adam.
Otherwise, you think I might conceivably make a good president?
If you're not hanged in the meantime.
Well, thank you, John. I'll weigh my temper with my wife and let you know what we decide.
Now, just don't forget, you've been warned. Good night, Rachel. Take care of yourself.
Good night, John. How would you like to be First Lady?
How would you like to be president?
Why don't you figure on going into Nashville? As soon as you're feeling better, order yourself an inauguration dress.
What'll I do with an inauguration dress if you're not elected?
Isn't it a little late in life to stop gambling with me?
Here's something I had made for you, just in case you decided to run. It goes in the back of your watch to remind you not to lose your temper.
What do you think of that?
In case you don't recognize it, it's me.
That's just about the nicest present you could have thought of.
I wanted to surprise you. But I'm afraid I'm the one who got the surprise when I saw that portrait. I've always thought of myself as I was when we first met.
I don't need any artist to help jog my memory.
Unfortunately, the poor artist couldn't paint me from your memory. He had to paint me as he saw me.
Well, it's
Fine present, Rachel. I thank you.
I've learned all of your bad habits, none of your good ones.
Yeah, when we get to Washington City, we're either going to have to refine our vices or else keep them a secret.
Let's just keep them secret.
You got no business coming into town without telling Mr. Jackson. You ain't well, and you know it, and I know it, and he know it.
Oh, stop your grumbling, Mom. They aren't going to frighten me off. I want to hear my husband speak.
He ain't gonna say nothing you ain't heard before and won't hear again.
It has been said that I've had more experience in uniform than in government. That is true. I might add that it was also true of General Washington.
Are you comparing yourself with General Washington? He was a gentleman. You're a gambler.
I can't deny that. I've loved to gamble all my life. It's no secret.
You're a murderer. You killed Charles Dickinson in cold blood.
That's I defended my honor. He was killed in a fair duel.
You stole another man's wife.
I stole no man's wife.
We don't want an adulterer as president, do we? No!
And we don't want a prostitute as first lady.
What man of you said that?
I did. Jason Robards. We don't want a murder or an adulteress in the White House.
Don't be a fool, Andrew. You're playing right into their hand.
Miss Rachel!
Adams can write, Jackson can fight, Rachel can smoke, and all play fight. Adams will win, to Andy's chagrin. Rachel will pay the wages of sin. Adams can write, Jackson can fight, Rachel can smoke, and all play fight. Adams will win, to Andy's chagrin. Rachel will pay the wages of sin.
What happened to her? She went into Nashville to be with me, and her strength failed her. Help her.
I'll probably have to bleed her again.
Hasn't she been bled enough?
Is there any word yet?
I don't want you to worry about the election. I want you to worry about getting well.
Tell me as soon as you hear.
I'll tell you as soon as I hear.
Has anyone been out to tell you yet?
We got word on the tally.
You've been elected. Did you hear that, Andy? You've been elected.
I'm awake.
We're going to Washington City.
It's definite.
Samuel and John came by to tell me just now. You're the First Lady.
You kept your promise. You kept every promise you ever made to me.
I was careful not to make any I couldn't keep.
Mr. President, how can I tell you, Andrew?
Yeah, don't try. You just hurry and get well. Think you can sleep now? Well, you try. I'll leave the door open.
Rachel. I want to tell you. I'm glad I never left you. Even for your own sake. I'm not going to Washington City with you, after all.
You're going with me. Do you hear? You're going with me. You're going to be there beside me.
I can't. Don't carry a spider with you. They killed her. They killed her just as sure as she was born.
Presence of this gentle soul, I can and do forgive mine enemies. But those vile wretches who slandered her must look to God for mercy.
United States.
Well, here we are, Rachel. Look at them. Some of those good people feel sorry for me. More fools they. They don't know what memories I've brought with me. They can't see the way you looked that first day we met, when our whole lives lay ahead of us. I remember the way the wind blew your hair back, sitting there in the prow of that old riverboat. And the look of trust that was always there when there was danger to face. What a vision you were at the top of those stairs. And the way you looked with Lincoya, crowding his poor little life into a few short years. And the way you always ran to me when I came home again. The way you ran to me. Why, I've enough memories to sustain me all the days of my life.